Welcome to Why Work Sucks and What You Can Do About It. Hey, I'm Russ, and I've been in business for 4 decades. I've run into just about everything, and I'm willing to share with you what I ran into and how it may help you get through your job problem. Let's look at the new one today. It's on ADHD or ADD bosses. My ADD boss wants me to do 20 things at the same time. I need to focus, but just can't. She's all over the place with something new every 10 minutes. So I'm going crazy. What crazy? Been there. We had a boss that was so ADD, we called him Squirrel. He was there and there and there and there and never knew what he was going to do next. Every day we started with an 8 o'clock meeting, made a list of things for everybody to do, and by 8:30 it was all thrown up in the air and you were starting over. It was just a nightmare. The question you've got to ask, actually 3 questions. It's on the spectrum. So is the job here, you're here, and the boss there, and you're out of alignment? Or are you on the same page? Okay, let's take a look at that. So the job has got a kind of a characteristic to it, and that's here. There's the job. See that? So on that spectrum, the job is going to have kind of a personality. So one of those might be a fast food place where you're doing burgers and fries and counter service and you flip around and you go back and forth, and you do one at a time. And it feels a little bit like a squirrel based on the job. Is the job a research job, though? Are you looking at a microscope staring at white blood cells all day for 3 days? Or is it something more intense where you're having to absolutely concentrate on nothing else? This is the spectrum you got to understand. First of all, where's the job? So here's the spectrum for a job. And if the boss is over here and you're over there in your spectrum, there's a really narrow window here where the job, the boss, and you can all be in alignment from a personality point of view. And that's where you need to be. Can you make your personality and your boss's personality fit in the nature of the job? So the spectrum can be pretty wide. For some people, the spectrum is from A to Z, and some people, they've got a very narrow personality. Most people I work with are pretty wide. They can be crazy one day, fine the next, they're all over. But ultimately, is the job defined by something that you two can be on the same page? And that's where I think that term comes from. On the same page means out of all of this potential, it's a whole book of different things you can be. Are you two singing from the same song sheet? Are you on the same page of the book? Are you working on the same thing at the same time? Are you in sync? So, the job itself and you, look at that separately first. Is the job in alignment with what you like to do? Somewhere in your personality, does that job fit? If that job fits with your personality, great. Now, is the boss's spectrum in a area where it can fit too? If it's in an area where it can fit, okay, good start. So now is the job and the boss and you in alignment? If the boss is out of alignment, you got a big problem on your hands. If they stay out of alignment all the time, it's time to look for a new job. Don't quit. Look for a new job first and then move. If you can adjust, and if the boss is not too far off from where the job needs to be, adjusting may be your only option. So when an ADD boss is coming at you from 14 different directions, and that is what the job is all about, then that's really not the problem for what you're trying to do in your role. The problem may be that you don't really want to do that. You don't want to work that way. And I certainly have known a lot of people who can't focus on more than one thing at a time. I've met people who can do 4 or 6, or maybe it doesn't matter. They'll just go from one to the next and jump around just like a cat on a hot tin roof or squirrel. If you can fit into the job and that works for you, and the boss can fit in the job, then you can probably get in alignment with each other. So, how do you do that? Well, the first thing is to understand what really is in front of you. What does the job need right now today? And if the job needs something today, and this squirrel activity, this new interruption from the boss, takes you off of that task, it's bad for the work. You need to be able to express to the boss, love to work on what you just mentioned. I'm working on this right now. Which one of these do you feel like is the most important? They'll sometimes say the one that is the big job. Sometimes they'll say it's a small one, and you know that your answer needs to be, okay, I will work on that, but then spend as little time on that as possible. It's a little interrupt, treat it that way. If you've been reassigned away from the original job, then the reasonable question is, okay, who, what, when? Who's going to do what I was doing, and when will they have to have it done? In other words, get that job assigned to somebody if it's not going to be you. And that puts the workload on the boss. They've created an interrupt. Their spectrum of diverse thinking has caused you to have to change. If they're going to do that, they need to pick up the responsibility for all the ripple effects. So you want me to suddenly go do this? Great. I was working on this. Who would you like to do that? If they say, well, it's you, the answer's still the same. Okay, when do you want that done? Because if they have created a conflict, the new task and the old task can't be accomplished in the amount of time. Now they have to decide which one's more important, and the one they don't want you to do the most goes away. So you have to manage up. In an ADD or ADHD boss environment, you must manage up. They're not being a manager, they're just going after one thing after the next. Squirrel. You now have to be the one that says what's most important, who has to do what, by when. That's a management role. And if you are effective at doing that, you actually end up managing the manager. Manage up. You manage up by having your act together, keeping a list of what you're doing, targeting the most important things first, putting priority on them. And when an interrupt comes in and interferes with that deadline, you bring it up as a solution. I am working on this. It's due by this. Would you like somebody else to work on that while I do this? Get that conversation going and get them to tell you what's most important. Then do that. Document so that if something comes back from the boss's boss, you know what happened and when. But just make sure that they're on the right sync, right page with you and with the job. If all three of you are in alignment, you're going to win. If you cannot adapt to the way the job is, move to a new job, new company, whatever it's going to be. If you can, manage up, keep them in sync, and that boss will not be as big a problem for you anymore. If you get good at managing up, that is going to put you on the fast track for promotions, executive management, ultimately, who knows, president of the company. Because everybody at every level has to have somebody above them. Let's say you're the CEO of a company. Above you are the stockholders, the board of directors, people that you have to answer to for the performance of your company. Everybody's got a boss. And in every case, the farther you go, the more that boss needs to be managed. Managing up is a very important skill. So get good at it as soon as possible. An ADD, ADHD squirrel boss is a great time to practice that skill. So figure out what you got to do, figure out how it has to be done, who, what, by when. And every time you get interrupted by your squirrel, make sure you point out, I'm working on this. If I go do that, what's the schedule? Or should we reassign this to somebody else? And that's the who. And what will they be doing by when? Next thing you know, you'll be the supervisor of the production line, or you'll be the director of that program. You'll be the one who is managing people that you used to work with. You may have people working for you who were actually above you at one point just because you're so good at managing up. And it also applies to managing to the side. When you've got bosses in a row, sometimes they'll influence what's going on. They need something too. You need to manage them. So think of management as a three-layer system. There's you, there's people below, there's people above. You need to be good at managing everybody on your level, managing the people above you, and managing the people below you. And that's what ADD teaches you when you're working with a boss who's an ADHD or squirrel personality. You have to manage them. If you align with that job, you like the environment, you like everybody there, you like the way the work is done, great. Is your boss out of alignment? Can you help them get into alignment by managing them? That's the order. Am I in alignment with the job? Is the boss out of alignment? Can I manage up? If you manage up successfully, you will put yourself on a fast track for higher level and you will be more successful much faster than people around you. So let's get to it. Let's go out there and make a difference. And I think you'll find it very rewarding. Thanks for sending in your question.